Tag TV brings you daily news bulletin from India. Breaking news and views from India.
You're watching South Asia Newsline, and here are the top stories we are tracking for you on Wednesday, the 2nd of July. India's PM Modi embarks on a 5-nation tour, first stop in West Africa's Ghana. Photo exhibition outside UNHRC flags persecution of minorities in Bangladesh. And Dalai Lama says he'll be reincarnated, trust will identify successor. And now for all the details. India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi on Wednesday embarked on a multi-nation tour to Africa and southern American countries, making his first pit stop in Ghana's capital city, Accra. It is the first visit by any Indian Prime Minister in over 3 decades. The 2-day visit will see delegation-level talks between Prime Minister Modi and Ghana's President John Dramani Mahama and an address in Ghana's parliament by the Indian leader. During his visit to the African nation, the Indian Prime Minister will also interact with the Indian diaspora. The West African nation was among the first country to establish diplomatic relation with New Delhi after independence and has been a key supporter alongside India in non-aligned movement, with former leaders of both countries playing central roles.
We are going to have extensive discussions, especially on the trade and economic aspects of our partnerships. We are also entering into select MOUs that are going to further strengthen our bilateral partnership in critical areas.
Following his engagements in Ghana, PM Modi will embark on an official visit to Trinidad and Tobago, which will be the first visit by any Prime Minister in 25 years. He will hold bilateral talks and address the parliament before proceeding to Argentina and then later to Brazil for the BRICS meet. He will wrap up his tour with a state visit to Namibia, which will be the 3rd visit by any Indian Prime Minister to the African nation. And the joint statement from the Quad Foreign Ministers meeting held in Washington has unequivocally condemned all acts of terrorism and violent extremism in all its forms, with special mention to the April 22nd Pahalgam terrorist attack in Jammu and Kashmir, which claimed the lives of 25 Indian nationals and 1 Nepali citizen, while injuring several others. We call for the perpetrators, organizers and financiers of this reprehensible act to be brought to justice without any delay and urge all UN member states, in accordance with their obligations under international law, to cooperate actively in this regard, the statement read. It also highlighted that the leaders of India, Australia, US and Japan launched Quad Critical Minerals Initiative to strengthen logistics, and they plan to launch Quad Ports of the Future Partnership in Mumbai this year. The Quad announced key initiatives in order to strengthen maritime and transnational security, economic prosperity and security, critical and emerging technologies, and support humanitarian assistance and emergency response across the Indo-Pacific.
Thank you all for joining us. A word about terrorism in the light of our recent experience. The world must display zero tolerance. Victims and perpetrators must never be equated. And India has every right to defend its people against terrorism, and we will exercise that right. We expect our Quad partners to understand and appreciate that. India plans to host the next Quad summit. We have some proposals on how to make that productive. I'm sure so do our partners.
And moving on to news from Pakistan-occupied Jammu and Kashmir, where daily life is being upended by persistent electricity and internet woes. Frustrated residents in Muzaffarabad are demanding urgent action from authorities to resolve the crisis. We have a report.
Residents of Muzaffarabad in Pakistan-occupied Jammu and Kashmir are facing ongoing issues with low electricity voltage and poor internet service, which are disrupting daily life and business activities across the region. The Awami Action Committee is calling for urgent government intervention to resolve these issues.
इस वक्त जो वोल्टेज का मसला है इस वक्त मुजफ्फराबाद डिवीज़न के अंदर इस वक्त बिजली, क्योंकि आपने देखा है गुज़श्ता कई अरसे से गर्मी की जो शिद्दत है उसमें बहुत इजाफा हुआ है और लो वोल्टेज से लोगों की जो इलेक्ट्रिकल अप्लाइंसेस हैं वो ख़राब हो रही हैं। हर जगह पे हर एरिया में हमें ये मसाइल लोगों की तरफ से आ रहे हैं कि जी वोल्टेज कम होने की वजह से लोग जो है वो प्रॉब्लम का शिकार हैं। तो उस चीज़ के लिए मेन जो हमारी कॉल है वो वोल्टेज के हवाले से है, क्योंकि हमने कमिश्नर साहब से मुलाकात के बाद उनको टाइम भी दिया था, कई जगह पे हमारा मसला हल हुआ है लेकिन मोस्टली ऐसा मुकम्मल तौर पे वोल्टेज का मामला हल नहीं हुआ।
The poor quality of internet service is one of the biggest problems affecting people in Muzaffarabad. Heavy taxes and increased package rates imposed by the Pakistan Telecommunication Authority have only worsened the situation.
जो इस वक्त सबसे बड़ी मुश्किल आज़ाद कश्मीर के शहरियों को, ताजरों को, तलबा को, सिविल सोसाइटी को, वकला को, सहाफ़ियों को, दुकानदारों को और हर मकदा फ़िक्र को इस वक्त जो सबसे बड़ा मसला दरपेश है वो इंटरनेट के जो है नाकस सर्विस के हवाले से है। इसके हवाले से भी हमारा एहतजाज है कि फिल फॉर PTA अपना किबला दुरुस्त करे। जो इन्होंने भारी भरकम टैक्सेस लगा के यहाँ पे पैकेजेस लगाए हुए हैं उनको ख़त्म करें और यहाँ लोगों को सहूलियात दें, फैसिलिटेट करें, ना कि लोगों को अजाब में डालें, ना कि लोगों को जो है वो मामलाती ज़िंदगी में रुकावट डालें।
The Awami Action Committee has expressed its firm resolve to mobilize public support and pressure the government and authorities to promptly address these critical issues affecting the community.
And a powerful photo exhibition was held outside the building of the United Nations Human Rights Council in Geneva on Tuesday to spotlight alleged human rights violations and rising persecution of minorities in Bangladesh. Organized by the Bangladeshi diaspora and rights activists, the exhibition highlighted attacks on Hindus, Buddhists and journalists under the current caretaker regime led by Chief Advisor Muhammad Yunus, particularly following the ouster of former Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina. The activists called on the United Nations and international human rights bodies to intervene and hold the Bangladeshi authorities accountable for the reported violations.
Human rights defenders have everybody to knows that Bangladesh, what's going on last 10 months, from July to until this year, until this July, around 11 months, the Bangladesh minority, the Hindu, Buddha, Christian, all the peoples, they have been torturing, very brutally torturing by the mob violence. And this mob violence have been raised by the Yunus government. They patronize the mob. And here is the human rights violation in Bangladesh. The women's against the humanity. Women and girls have been torturing. So most of the Bangladesh last 10 months is going to the economically poor, and the poverty is very much more, and the human rights situation is really horrible. It's a crimes against humanity. It's like a genocide in Bangladesh.
Today we are here in front of broken chair of United Nations in Geneva against the brutal and misrule of Yunus regime. You know, in Bangladesh, the Yunus regime is a intolerant government by the mob justice, mob violence. They are torturing the lot of people, Army League leaders, and especially the minority Hindus and Buddhist people. They are raping the women, and they put the video on the social media, and they also the miscases of false cases of these people, and they are earning the money by this false case.
And Tibetan spiritual leader, the Dalai Lama, has reaffirmed that the process for recognizing his successor is clearly defined and lies solely with the Gaiden Phodrang Trust established by him. In a statement issued Wednesday, he cited the 24 September 2011 directive that grants the trust exclusive authority to oversee the search and recognition of a future Dalai Lama in consultation with senior Tibetan Buddhist leaders and oath-bound Dharma protectors. The Dalai Lama clarified that no external body has the legitimacy to appoint his reincarnation and that the procedures will strictly follow centuries-old Tibetan Buddhist traditions. This is the first public statement he has made on the matter in 14 years, prompted by spiritual leaders urging the continuation of the institution of the Dalai Lama. Earlier this week, he indicated there would be a framework to discuss succession as he attended a ceremony ahead of his birthday. The Dalai Lama has previously said he could possibly reincarnate in India, where he lives in exile since fleeing Tibet in 1959 after a failed uprising against Chinese rule. China views the Dalai Lama as a separatist and says it will choose his successor. The Dalai Lama has urged his followers to reject anyone chosen by Beijing. In Nepal's Bhaktapur, where ancient alleys echo with tradition, one dessert still holds a royal place at the table: Jujudo, or the king of curds. As the festival season draws near, this creamy delicacy returns to the spotlight. Take a look.
In the old city of Bhaktapur in Nepal, tucked between temples and alleys, the day begins early for Reena Suwal. For over 25 years, she has been making jujudo, known fondly as the king of curds, a delicacy deeply rooted in the Newar community's traditions. Prepared especially during festivals, jujudo isn't just curd, it's part of Bhaktapur's identity. But as times changed, so did how this famous dessert is stored and sold.
मैले काम सुरु गरेको बेलामा सबै मातोको मात्र भाराहरू हुन्थ्यो। यो बटाहरू भनेको केही पनि चलाउँदैन थियो हैन। जब मैले काम गरेको त्यस्तै अब 5 वर्ष 6 वर्षपछि चाहिँ बिस्तारै सजिलो सामानहरू आउन थाल्यो। जस्तै बटाहरू मान्छेहरूलाई यो माटोको दही मोटरसाइकलमा लग्नेलाई गाह्रो भएर अब उहाँहरूलाई सजिलोको लागि बट्टा दही पनि आयो हैन। अनि बट्टामा पनि हामी जुजुदो भनेर बेच्न थाल्यौं। पहिला चाहिँ त्यतिको बट्टा दही जाँदैन। अहिले चाहिँ मान्छेहरूले थाहा पाइसक्यो कि बट्टामा चाहिँ जुजुदो पनि पाइन्छ भनेर। अनि उहाँहरूले अहिले खानु भएपछि उहाँहरूलाई अब कसैलाई माटोको मन पर्छ, कसैलाई बट्टा मन पर्छ त्यही हो।
Made from a careful mix of cow and buffalo milk, the preparation process is precise and time-consuming. Every morning, Reena and her team check the fat content of the milk before it is poured into large vats and boiled to the right temperature, around 85 degrees Celsius. Once the milk cools, a spoonful of curd from a previous batch is added to act as a culture. The pot is then moved to a refrigerator, a change from earlier times when blankets and rice husks were used to maintain the warmth needed for fermentation. Even with modern tweaks, jujudo still tastes like heritage.
Well, the taste was slightly tangy but pleasantly sweet, and it's very different from normal curd because it's not very sour and not at all sour actually, and a very thick texture than normal dahi.
The demand for jujudo has only grown. While non-festive days see 600 litres of milk for preparation, in festive season over 1,600 litres of milk transformed into heritage-rich dessert in a single cycle. Though the plastic container has made inroads and refrigerators have replaced blankets, the soul of jujudo remains rooted in its tradition. It still sits proudly in Bhaktapur's corner shops, local markets and increasingly supermarket refrigerators across Kathmandu Valley.
That's all in tonight's edition. We will see you same time tomorrow. Good night.
Tag TV brings you daily news bulletin from India. Breaking news and views from India.